And he gets 3 white lights for it. Good lift. Weight jumps up to 175 kilos now for Francis. Today we've got 3 sessions going into it. Starting us off is the 74-83 males. Then at 2 o'clock we have the 93-105s, and then in the evening we have the under 84 and 84 plus class coming in. And the bar is loaded. Here comes Francis, 175 kilos. All these lifters looking to make these very easy openers. Very smooth looking squat there. Looking comfy. 3 white lights. We jump over to the score sheet. We can see a lot of 175 openers. Jumping up to 220 immediately after. Let's see. Jordan getting ready for his lift.
Good smile on his face. He's ready to go. Looks strong on rip day.
2 to 1, he gets it. Good lift.
One red light for Deadlift.
Unfortunately looking like a red at the front for depth. Luckily I only need 2 whites on that one. Hopefully he doesn't let that get into his head and he starts squatting too deep. Quite a common mistake for lifters when they get 1 red is they suddenly start thinking about it too much and squat far deeper than they're used to squatting. Weight also stays at 175, a very, very enjoyable opener it seems for these lifters, for Brendan. This is a classic 3 red plates on the bar and a very common kind of warm-up weight to a max for people. So pretty comfortable number for them.
Let's go, Brandon. Go, Brando.
Very controlled looking squat there from Brandon.
3 white lights, good lift. Next up we have Van, 180 kilos. Originally from North Shore Barbell.
Jumping it up, we have 180 kilos now for Fan. Auckland native coming down here. He did betray his original gym, but you know, it's okay. He's at North Shore Barbell now. Very easy looking squat there for Fan. 3 white lights. Rocking up next, we have 192.5 kilos for Damien.
this competition, so let's give them a
So far, we're looking very good. All good lifts so far for these openers.
Power's loaded. It's good day.
Damien being coached and handled by Jordan Jennings, who has many lifters over the weekend. Howdy. A little bit of a struggle on that one, but definitely locks it out. 3 weight lights.
200 kilos.
A lot of time, both these lifters, it will look like they're struggling, but that's how all of their heavier squats go. It's kind of a slower style, not using as much rebound, just focusing on stability and strength going through it. Next up, we have 200 kilos being loaded up for Dylan. Really powering through these squats. Good work by the spotters and loaders. Not wasting any time between lifters. And out comes Dylan. It's terrifying, right? As long as she doesn't get water on it, she'll be fine. Very smooth squat there from Dylan. Unfortunately, not quite deep enough on that one. Plenty of strength. Just needs to get those hips below the knees. Jumping up, we have 205 kilos, sorry, for James. Very strong opener squats for these boys for the under 74 kilo class.
Bar is loaded, EJ, 205 kilos. Opening squat.
Thinking about in terms of body weight, these are almost hitting 3 times body weight for their opener attempts. Easy looking walk out there from EJ. Smooth and steady there, very common from the wider stance squats as well, not using as much rebound in the bottom.
215 kilos being loaded on for John Strachan.
Here will be a good example of someone with a much closer stance squat, 215 kilos now for John.
Realized that the 66 class was just stupid, so he's going back up to 74. Couldn't afford running 10 kilometers a day.
And not eating for 3.
Barbara's loaded for John.
Should be easy looking weight for John. Been helping out all weekend with lifters.
Go, John.
Come on, John, let's go. Try that, come on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very easy looking squat there for John.
3 1 lights, good.
Clean and crisp. Got that narrow stance, quite bouncy squat. Although John does have a lot of grind strength in him. Anyone who's seen him compete previously, you'll know that. Next up, we've got Carvois coming over from across the pond. Man had a great competition recently over at the World Champs. Coming back is just looking to have a good day today. Really mature in the last 3 or 4 years of lifting. Previously, this opener would be like 260 kilos and a struggle on all of them.
Just the wrong rack height.
Unfortunately, incorrect rack height on that. They'll restart the clock on him, and he'll be able to go back out for that. Cowboy bringing a lot of color with this, I believe, A7 singlet he's got on. Man's looking stylish out there. What? You gotta match it. Easy looking over there. Got the shoes, got the singlet, got the squat. Easy peasy.
Matching soft suit to his shoes. It's easy there.
His soft going into his knee sleeves.
Alright, we're going to 180 kilos for Hamish.
We now go into our second attempt, starting us off 180 with Hamish. I believe he hit 172 on the opener. Very clean there. Take a look quickly at the session so far. We have mostly green lights. The only red was from a Mr. Death from Dylan. He'll come back to get that one. But now we have Hamish, 180. Opener looked easy. This should also be very, very easy.
Drive it, come on.
Definitely hit a sticking point in the middle there. Was able to power through it and keep his position, which was great to see. We'll see if he has another 2.5 to 5 left in him. It's going to be tough though. That middle position definitely was getting stuck. Bumping it up to by 10 kilos from 175 to 185 is Jordan. Opener looked plenty easy, so shouldn't be a problem here. Unfortunately, a bit high on that one. We'll just have to come back on that. I'm sure he will be plenty fine to hit that on depth. There was plenty of strength there, just, yeah, a bit of a depth issue. Go up to 187.5 now for Brendan.
Come on, man.
Oh, still looking plenty strong out there. Nice and controlled from Brando. 2-1, good lift. Red on one side, but does not matter. You can get 2 whites and you'll be good to go. Bump it up, we have 190 now for Francis.
Arms loaded, 190 kilos for Francis. Single attempt.
bit of a midway pause on that one. You know, maybe he's been training too much, 1.5 reps on that. But we'll see if that was more of a stability issue or maybe just, you know, positioning issue on that one, because it didn't look like a strength pause or anything. He didn't slow down before he hit it, so we'll see what happens on the next. But it was 3 white lights, so that's good. Bump it up to 190 now for Fan. As a note for the squat, you can pause it midway up, you just can't go back down and then come back up. They'll give you a red with a blue marker underneath it. Bit of a tip forward on that one, but still plenty of strength there. Hopefully he can look to kind of hold that up on his next squat. Kind of keep himself more upright on there. But it is hitting the kind of top end of everyone's lifting, so you're going to see some technique breakdowns. Stuff that in training they'd be a bit more judgy on, but you know, when it comes to the platform, as long as you get the lift, it doesn't really matter how you get it. Taking 200 again, we have Dylan. Plenty of strength on his opener here. He just needed to hit it a bit deeper. So hopefully comes out, sinks this one, gets himself on the board, so we have no worries going into the third attempt. Looks strong from Dylan, and better 2-1. He gets it. Good lift. Getting some reds from the front, getting a red from the front ref on that one for depth, but you know, as I said before, you only need 2 of them, so good to go there. Is a majority rules system. Jump it up 202.5 for Damien.
Go Damo.
Still looking smooth out there. Very strong there from Damien. 3 white lights, he gets that one. We're looking very good so far in terms of the overall scoreboard. Only 2 missed attempts so far. Hopefully we'll keep that going. 217.5 being loaded up now for EJ. Taking a quick peek at the scoreboard so far. Looks like we've got kind of a pretty comfortable lead in terms of overall prognosis for Carvois, but we'll see how that goes throughout the day. Definitely a fight for second and a fight for fourth from the looks of it. Bit of a sticking point on that one for EJ. Definitely still looks like there's strength in there, but hopefully it doesn't get stuck in that position on the next one. Probably only like a 2.5 to 5 kilo difference on the next one there. Expecting a 220 coming out from him. Now got a nice 15 kilo jump here from John Strachan from 215 to 230. These are pretty common for him in training, so this should be very comfortable indeed. Man's got maybe some of the brightest shoes on the platform today. The heels of those shoes brighter than my future. He's ready to hit this 230, nice and comfy. Smooth and steady there from John. Still looking plenty strong out there. Expecting to see like a 235, 237 call. 240 might be pushing it today, but we'll see what they do. Jump it up 245 for our last second attempt of this flight for Carver. Interesting to see that John's actually taking larger jumps than Carver. Just kind of a difference between perspectives of whether you open in kind of your top range or not. Carver is definitely opening a lot higher to his top end, whereas John at a 215 is more like a 4 or 5 rep sort of range. Got the color coordinated singlet and shoes coming in hot. Oh, definitely looking still strong in there. Kawa, another lifter who is very good at grinding out heavy weights and kind of fighting through that middle position. But that looked very smooth, very easy from him. No real struggle. Will be interesting to see if Kawa takes another 10 kilo jump up to 255, which would be a very big squat. Unfortunately, still about 15 kilos off the record, which was Tim Monagati at 270. But for the day, that would be the biggest squat. I believe his second actually sets him up for the biggest squat anyway. Going into our thirds, we have 182.5 now for Hamish. This is about where we'd expect to see him after the kind of middle point stick in the second. Oh, unfortunately, just a bit too heavy on the day. So the 180 was actually a great call on the second. That seems to be his kind of very peak limit today. As that since that 182 feeling pretty stuck there. So he really didn't lose out on much, just 2.5. Overall, a great way to call your numbers. Jumping it up, we have 185 now for Jordan. Got the bar loaded now for Jordan, coming on out. Unfortunately missed his second at this same weight. I believe it was depth on the second one though, so if he can sink it, I'm sure this will be all good. Oh, he stands out with it. It's more of a fight. Did he hit depth on it though? Unfortunately, 2 reds on that. Yeah, you can see on the video replay and everything, just not quite. His hips did not quite go below his knees on that. Kind of squished himself into it. A lot of times lifters will do that when it starts to get heavy and they start to get a little bit scared or anxious under the bar. They'll cut weight by just having them kind of hip squish on top. We're Brandon at 192.5 kilos now. Be 12.5 above, his nominated numbers, which is great to see. Technically beat his nominated squat by 7.5 on his second anyway. Oh, unfortunate there, just a bit too heavy. Only lost 5 kilos there anyway, based on his second, so looking good so far. Bumping up, we have 195 now for Francis. Hoping that we get a third attempt on the board some point soon. We did have quite a few sessions actually recently, especially bench press, where we only had 1 or 2 made thirds. And here we go with Francis, 195. Jumped it up to 190 from 190. Looked smooth on the 190. Just had that kind of midpoint stick, which could just be balance. He hits it again, but he's a lot quicker out of a hole. So when he hits it, he powers through it. Definitely his sticking point, but I mean, look, great lift. 195. Weight stays at 195 for Fan. Also making the same jump for 5 kilos. Had a bit of that tip forward on the second, but that just kind of happens once the weight gets heavy enough. Hopefully he can just fight through that and stand up with it. Trying to make louder the music. My voice is bastard. I like my whispered dulcet tones. Oh, unfortunate there, man. Just a bit too heavy. A lot of these guys trying to beat their best. Interesting kind of debate around on what you're meant to do on meet day. A lot of these lifters will be coming in trying to kind of PR and kind of fight for it, but a lot of the top lifters will talk about how you really just want to go for what you have on the day and try and place the best you can, rather than trying to go for personal best on competition. It's just, you know, with travel, different time of training, different environment, it's all so different. You really got to make that decision with your coach ahead of time. Weight jumps to 210 kilos now for Damien.
Settle, Damo.
Oh, he fights for it. He's going. He's going. He stands up with it. What did the ref say about it? It's good. 2-1. A yellow from the front. Unclear exactly what that was about. That's usually to do with commands. Sometimes as well, for things like rack commands, the head ref who gives the command can sometimes give the yellow for it, whereas the side refs who have to register it was called will not. So we'll go usually in the lifter's side unless they just completely skip it. We jump it up to 212.5 now for Dylan. Had to retake his opener because of depth and decided not to go up on that, which is usually the right call to make. Better to go slightly less on your third than to bomb out of a meet. Whoa, close. Next lifter. Does that not just sound like Jared? You're doing Jared, aren't you? Unfortunately, not quite def on that one. Luckily, got that second attempt though at 200. Otherwise, he'd be bombing out of this meet. So, great call to retake that 200. We jump it to 222.5 now for EJ. We're down to our last 3 squats of the 74s. We'll be going straight into the 83s afterwards, so no going anywhere. We have some great battles in the 83s and some great lifting going on. Some, I guess you could call it exhibition lifting as well, which is always cool to see. And it is all loaded up for EJ.
You got this. Get behind everyone. Big good attempt here.
EJ looking to make as many kilos as he can to try and get his total a lot higher. Every kilo he gets now is one less he has to try and deadlift to make podium. Oh, he sank it, but unfortunately just too heavy on the day. Didn't lose too many on that, just 5 kilos there. Down to our last two, we have 240 for John Strachan. He is taking that 10 kilo jump up to 240. He's hit this before. It's definitely been a trying week for him in terms of helping so many lifters and handling so many people. Saw him yesterday after the day finished looking deflated, but I'm sure plenty of energy today. Had a good sleep. Will definitely be a fight though. Here we go.
Let's go, come on! You've got this, John. Let's
John.
go.
Go!
Get after him, man. Come on. Nice, steady.
Come on, John!
He fights through with it. What do the rest say? 3 white lights. Great attempt selection there. Oh, he's either cramping or injured. Hopefully it's not injury. Sounds like from what I can hear it's just a cramp, which is great news. Not coming off with an adductor injury. And we now go into our last squat. We have 255 for Carvois. Making the same jump from his first to his second. Not a common choice, but with how his second looked, there's no point in not taking a bigger jump.
It is a huge squat. One of New Zealand's finest lifters. Let's go.
My goodness, those man's quads on the stream. Fights for it, fights. Did he squat it down deep enough? He gets it, good lift. Great squat there from Carvois. As we said, man knows how to grind a heavy squat. He's used to doing that from his opener attempts, so it's good to see the first two at least went really easy, and then the third was a good grind.
Alright, we are now moving on to the 83 kilo class, starting us off 170 kilos today.
So we now got the 83s coming in hot. We have James Wilson with 170 kilos. Some things to watch out for in this group is obviously you have Tim Monagati coming in. He'll be doing some exhibition lifting after his time over at Worlds. No one's really going to be competing with him for top spot, I don't believe. We've got an Auckland classic battle, Jack Tan versus Jared. Jack is currently a wee bit injured, but he's just giving Jared a bit of a handicap, you know. But right now we've got James Wilson, 170 kilos. Another Auckland native coming down. Sits it down, and plenty of strength there. What did the refs give him for that, though? 2-1. He gets it. Good lift. Another yellow at the front. I believe it's for the calls being jumped on that one. Same thing as before. Side refs don't always hear it. Weight jumps to 185 kilos now for George. And here we go, George coming on out.
Literally just right now.
Hello.
It's not out.
Yeah.
Strong looking out there. Ring lights. Good lift.
Very nice there from George. Next up, 190 for Jack. This is substantially below what he would usually be opening on. Usually be about 225, 230. But he recently had a tear in his quad as of last week. So kind of taking it a bit more chill. Hoping not to re-injure himself, but still here to compete. When you already paid for flight and accommodation, you may as well come down. Really looking forward to the banquet afterwards. Man loves a good banquet. But for now, we got 190 coming up. This should absolutely fly. Hopefully he doesn't go and re-injure himself. Might treat it a bit slower just so that he doesn't aggravate anything. Also be on the lookout for a costume change from Jack midway through. Man has way too many singlets. Oh yeah, plenty of strength there, no problems. Pretty sure he's done that for like 10 reps recently, so. 2-1, interesting. Got a blue on one side for not locking his knees at the top. Still gets 2 whites, so still gets the lift. Very minor thing to fix up. Just needs to make sure he tenses his quads and locks his knees at the top. Quite a common issue actually for lifters. Mainly not getting a start call in the squat because their knees aren't locked out. When you're not used to training with people all the time, you'll have unlocked knees walking the weight out, and that can really cause you problems on the platform. Similar in bench to unlocked elbows at the start. A lot of gym bros will just not have their elbows ever locked out. We got 190 kilos now from Wilson. Plenty of strength there from Wilson. Got that beautiful close stance, high bar. Man's an Olympic lifter at heart. Jump it to 195 now for William. So far looking good. We're 4 for 4 on openers. No one really looked like they're struggling as well. Great choices so far. William coming out. Another very easy looking opener. And another set of 3 white lights. Great lift there. Next up we've got a OG in the crew. We got Jamie Campbell coming in with 215 kilos. He will be looking to fight for that podium spot. Previously he would have been fighting with Jack Tan. Unfortunately now Jack will be out of it, but Jamie will still be looking to try and push himself. Knowing Jamie, this should fly up, honestly. 215, I don't know if I'm remembering incorrectly, but this is a relatively light opener for him. A lot of these lifters, although, have been fighting on different lockdowns, COVID, all sorts of sickness. I know a lot of people have been getting sick recently as well, so a lot of training's been interrupted. Awesome to still see a lot of people still PRing and competing after all of that. I think I was definitely correct with that being a light opener for him. That looked stupidly easy there. Jamie looking plenty strong. Next up we will have Jared, 215, same weight. Jared was lucky to be competing today because he fought weigh-ins with 2 hours and he was weight cutting, and he weigh-ins are actually only an hour and a half, so he almost missed weigh-ins because lack of knowledge. But 215, easy enough weight for him. He is I believe being coached by John Strachan, and he also follows his lifestyle of close stance squatting. You'll see, very close stance squat, heels, head down, very John Strachan-esque. His hero. And looking plenty easy. Jared's also part of Team Lean. His bar has about a 30-degree lean on his back. And based on the man walking off the platform, I think he drank his Gatorade a bit too quick. Hopefully he doesn't follow in John's footsteps and projectile on the front ref, but we'll see what happens. That could be fun to see. Now we got some of the, fun over here. We got 250 from Tim.
Bar is loaded for Tim. Come on, Tim.
This is the exhibition lifting I was talking about. No one's really... Well, I'd be very impressed if anyone catches up to Tim. And looking very easy there for Tim. And that's about 20 kilos lower than his world opener, which also looks stupidly easy, so plenty of weight there. We have one more lifter in the first attempt, 260. Ian is equipped, so this means he will be wearing knee wraps and also a canvas suit. The canvas suit is essentially like denim that as you sit into it, it kind of springs you back out of it. This is kind of the OG way of powerlifting. Not quite as popular these days just because it's so much effort to do. We can actually see in the stream right now, Ian is tying his knee wraps on. You gotta do this before every single squat attempt, and those knee wraps suck. Also, meets took a lot longer because everyone was having to do these knee wraps. Yeah. So getting his full suit on with knee wraps. Man's getting very frustrated with people calling out for him. We can see the suit being pulled up right now. He's running very low on time. He's got, I don't know if he has enough, he has 15 seconds to get on the platform and get out there. He has 10 seconds. I think he's just going to have to skip this attempt. Time, unfortunately, walking back in. Unfortunately, not quite set in time for that one. Definitely. Unfortunately, I didn't switch the stream over fast enough, but he sprinted out to try and get that one with 4 seconds left. Anyone who's taken a squat, especially equipped, you can't get that set up in 4 seconds. That's probably about 30 kilos above his raw max at the moment. That's a lot of weight to get set up under that quickly. So other than that, we were all greens on the board, except for Ian, and that's just because, missed the timing. We're going into our second round now. We have 180 kilos being loaded up for James. Breaks, it breaks. Until it's a problem, don't make it a problem. It's whatever. Yeah, just don't look at it, Darren. Just keep looking forward. He drives it up. Was he deep enough on that one? I believe he got a red on the first one. Unfortunately, he gets 3 reds on this one. He cut that one a bit high. I know from training he has a tendency to do that when he gets in his own head a bit. He just needs to kind of trust himself to get that weight and sink it down. He's got plenty of strength for that. He just needs to sink it. Jumping up, we have 195 now for George. And here we go. Very comfy looking 180 for George on his opener. Ooh, bit of a struggle on that one. Be curious to see if he goes up to the 200 on the next one, or cuts it at the 197. I feel like he'll go 200 because, as a lot of lifters will tell you, what's the difference between 197 and 200? Is it even worth doing 197? Speaking of 200 though, we have Jack coming in with 200. I'm sure he'll use this to kind of get a feel for his third. I'm sure he's hoping to at least hit 220 on that third attempt, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. The original founder of Team DTF, Destamoon Training Philosophies. And again, another comfy squat, just trying to make sure he doesn't hurt his quad again. 3 white lights, getting as many kilos as he can while keeping it chill. Hopefully we see him go up to about 220, but really it's going to be how he feels. The thing with quad tears is you don't feel them until you feel them. And so I'm sure he's playing it incredibly safe. Weight jumps to stays the same at 200 for Wilson. The high bar specialist in the crew right now. Weight's not getting enough that it's very difficult to move across the rack. So the poor head spotter is trying to yank it across to get it centered, and that's a lot of work once you get to the 200 plus weights. Anyone who's tried to move a 300 kilo bar across a rack will know it is truly suffering. Strong there from Wilson, nice high bar there. So much range he has though going into the third, that was definitely looking like it was slowing down. Jumping it up, we have 205 now for William.
Bar is loaded for William.
I think you're real good at bowls. Seems like you have a good rollout.
In my opinion, you'd be a great,
His hands already touch his ankle. He roll the ball out really well on balls.
great snooker player, some might say. Hands like a surgeon.
William getting nice and set up under the bar. Every lift will have their own little pre-lift ritual. Still looking strong out there. Smooth on that one. 3 whites, easy squat. Leaving himself a nice amount of room on that for their third attempt. We got 225 now for Jared, taking a 10 kilo jump from his first to second. The opener looked very easy for Jared, so this also should look very simple. I know man's been feeling good in training recently, as much as he doesn't like to talk about it, because everyone else is talking about how bad their training's going, so he's like keeping on the DL, but man's been feeling strong. And if there's no projectile, this should be a good squat.
Yeah, nice.
Still plenty of strength there. He's got room to go on that one. 3 white lights. Not a big struggle at this point for him. Seeing as he spent an hour before this in the Mercedes-Benz hot tub time machine. The sauna out front of just a bunch of guys sitting in a car sweating together to try and make weight. It's a bonding experience to say the least to see that. We got 227, 500 pounds now for Jamie. This is a nice 12.5 kilo jump up from his opener. Slightly bigger jump from some of the other athletes. You'll see that as a week goes by, all of the bigger guys and bigger numbers take bigger jumps because percentage-wise it's about the same. You usually see a 5 to 8% jump for each attempt. Stands up with the rest of the three-way lights. Good lift. Still looking like he's got some strength there. Probably looking at like a 232, 235. We now have Ian again looking to set up. Let's switch the cams over and see if he's set up this time. We can see that the knee wraps are on already. The suit's being pulled up.
You nipped it there. You wouldn't nip it like that. Bar is loaded for Ian. Come on, Ian.
So it's not switching the cam at all.
Desert.
Bar is loaded. Come on, Ian.
And here we see, apologies, I apparently was not running the stream properly and switching the cams I was meant to, but now we can see Ian. Oh. Here comes Ian, ready to rock and roll, easy peasy. Plane. Here we go, coming in. Now, interesting from Ian, actually, is very opposed to the usual equipped squatting style. Usually when you have equipped squatters, you end up having lifters quite wide stance because that way they can sit more into the suit. Well, the suit usually does give more than the knee wraps, so people try and use that more than the knee wraps, but Ian's doing a very close stance. More mimicking his original squat before he went to equipment, which is more common for lifters going from raw to equipped and not wanting to change up too much on the switch over. And here we go, Tim Monagati, 270. This is still, I believe, below his opener from Worlds, so should be comfortable for him. I believe it opened at Worlds at 280, so... Unfortunately not lining himself up for a 300 kilo squat today, but I mean, can't get everything you want. Plenty of strength there. What do the... Okay, so he gets 3 reds for that one. 3 whites for that one. Tim's had quite a bit of problem in the past with depth and just his squat style where he kind of sits on top of himself with a close stance. It's very difficult to find depth when you're not making it. You kind of have you're limited by your body hitting itself essentially. But let's look over at the scorecard a little bit. First up we'll have James, who missed it on depth on the second, but we can see most of the lifters coming in hot. But let's quickly switch back over to see James's attempt. Retaking 180. There's strength there. Just needs to sink it a little bit lower. Get out of his own head a bit. It looks better on depth that time. Definitely looked better from where we are. What do the refs give him? 3 white lights. Very nice. Much better there from James. Squat even looked stronger from him. Very common for lifters where they cut depth. It actually looks weaker because you're missing that rebound that you're used to getting from your regular lifting. We got 200 now for George. We got George going up to the bar now. Going through the usual ritual he has. Man's rocking the Vans lifestyle for shoes. Ooh, unfortunately a bit too heavy. But we talked about 200 might be a bit too much, but lifters never go 197. It's like a broken number.
205 kilos being loaded off Wilson.
It's like 197, 297, no one ever touches those numbers. They're wastes of time. They don't exist. You may as well just do the round number. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for George, but
I said it.
Just go watch your leg and jump away from the guys.
jump it up to 205 kilos now for Wilson.
Bars loaded for Wilson. 205
Another
kilos.
5 kilo jump in the lifters. This is going from 10 to 5 for his jumps, so, you know, hopefully still following the plan he had at the beginning of the day. Oh, he gets stuck midway, but he fights through it. Luckily with the high, 2 to 1. Interesting, you got a red on one side. The usual with high bar is you'll squat far deeper than need be, but sometimes when you start cutting depth, it, you know, obviously affects the depth you get called on. So still stands up with it, 2 whites, good to go. We now got Jack going for 210. Very conservative squat for him, but
Bars loaded for Jack. 202 kilos.
hopefully still light enough not to cause any injury or havoc on him. Here we go. Looking like he's going to rat that for 5 out there, but
He gets it, just his knees not quite all down on one side.
based on how he's walking off, no injuries coming off the back of that, which is exactly what he was looking for. No massive injury off the back of that one, which is great to see from Jack. Weight stays at 210 now for William as well. Down to our last 5 squats. After this, we'll be having a small break before the bench. 10 or 20 minutes, I'm not sure, but we'll show a timer afterwards. Another 5 kilo jump here, 10 and 5. He pushes through, stands up with it. What do the refs say for him, though? 3-way lights, good lift. Great choice on attempt there. Bumping up 230 kilos now for Jared.
Fighting it out with Jamie, so you need this
And bar is loaded up for Jared. Again, another 83 doing the 10 and 5 attempt jumps. I think they all made an agreement ahead of time to make these jumps. And just had to reset his belt midway through. A lot of the time your leverages change up as well with his weight cuts, which can be a surprising side effect of it. Unfortunately, kind of lost tightness coming out of the hole on that one and dipped it. Probably was plenty of strength on that one, but
From the bends to the platform, did it work this time? But
oh man, the weight cut in the car probably really affected him on this one, to be honest. A lot of time when you get for kind of those top weights, you can kind of see the stability and balance really being lost on people who have done hard weight cuts or hard water loads. We've now got Jamie, 235. Whoa, we've got a 7.5 kilo jump to a third.
Come on, Jamie.
Jamie just being different, you know.
Come on.
Oh, unfortunately there for Jamie, not quite deep enough on that one. Definitely could go to the jury and kind of contest that one. We now have our second to last squat here. We have 280 from Ian. We'll then have Tim coming after, which is at the same weight, but very cool to see classic lifters competing with the equipped side of it as well on the exact same weights. But 280 loaded up now for Ian.
280 kilos for Ian.
Let's take a cheeky look back. Looks like he's mostly set up here. Slow and steady there from Ian, very common for equipped lifting as well, to sink into your gear. Unfortunately though, didn't quite sink it down deep enough. Another common issue for equipped lifting is you can't really feel depth. Usually you would use kind of where you would rebound off, but alas, in a squat suit it's very difficult to kind of find where you're deep enough, as it starts to give you that compression immediately.
280 kilos getting loaded off.
Weight is now at 280 kilos as well for Tim, the last squat of the morning session. This is his opener from Worlds, so this should fly up, but I'm sure he's just trying to hit a comfortable 9 for 9. Very nice there from Tim. 3 weight lights, good lift. Nice to see going 3 for 3 on that one. We will now have a 10-minute break before we jump back into the 74s. So we'll just leave you guys with that, and
Bar is loaded. Let's go, David.
And the bar is loaded. Starting us off for the under 74 kilo bench press session. Solid looking first press there for Damo. Three-way lights, good way to start us off.
Now we go on to 110 kilos for Dylan.
Jump it up to 110 kilos now for Dylan. And the bar is loaded now for Dylan. 110 kilos being loaded up.
Representing Southern Valley.
Comfy opener there for Dylan.
Alright, next up. Let's send Jordan.
Weight stays at 110 kilos now for Jordan. A lot of time in bench, you'll see a lot of people sticking around the same sort of weights, just because bench is kind of generally a lower weight lifted lift. You'll see a lot of the same sort of attempts going from these lifters. It is, though, the lift that most commonly differentiates people at kind of regional and national level lifts. A lot of times you'll see some of the top benches be some of the kind of top podium. Very quick down and very quick up there from Jordan. Very easy opener. Gets a red on one side. Getting a red on one, a yellow, well, red with yellow mark on one side for Buck coming off the bench. It's quite common though for lifters with that sort of like speed as well. All the time you'll be doing they're doing a very explosive style bench. One 12.5 there for Francis, looking strong. Oh, two reds on that one. But came off the bench, unfortunately, on that one. Weight's jumping up to 115 kilos now for Fan. Fan ended 2 of 3 in squats.
The bar is loaded. Let's go, Fan.
Solid press there from Fan. 3 weights, good lift from him. Jump it up. We're jumping up to 137.5 now for Hamish. Interesting though, Hamish was the opener squat, but he is about mid-pack for opening on his bench. You definitely see the difference, especially where people come into the sport. A lot of people who come into sport from starting off at the gym in general will have a much bigger bench press because we're all bench bros when we first start training. But you'll see a lot of people who come in from different sports and different activities like that will actually be a lot more leg dominant, especially in New Zealand. We don't really have much of a bench culture here, as opposed to like the United States where you have like the bench press for reps and like the combines and everything. So they'll be benching all their life, whereas here you don't really generally end up benching until, 17, 18. Three white lights on that one. Good lift there. 137 also being attempted from Brandon.
And the bar is loaded for Brandon.
Very nice press there from Brandon. Plenty of strength on that one. So gets it right on one side. Just a butt coming off on one side. Interesting, we're getting a lot of reds with yellow on that one side. Could be as well the bench is slippery. Quite often the setups are slightly different than what you're used to, so maybe the height might be different or the width of the pad as well. So your usual kind of bracing position on a bench could be slightly altered based on what you're used to training in your home setup. Now we got EJ with 140 kilos, the classic 3 plates at the gym. Very strong press there from EJ. And he gets 3 white lights for a good lift.
Alright, next up we have John coming out with 147.5.
Jumping up to 147.5 now for John. John's been looking very strong on the bench recently. Hitting 160 plus constantly in training. Bar is now loaded for John. Telling the head spotter his classic yup lift off. Man of few words on the bench. Looking strong out there. I definitely think that bench is probably a little bit slippy, but still plenty of strength on that one from John. One of my favorite memories for lifting off was in 2015 at Nationals, where one of the lifters, after every lift off, said thank you very much. Seemed like a real waste of energy, but it made me feel loved as a head spotter, so sometimes that's what matters. It's not about how much you lift, it's about how you make the spotters and loaders feel. And if you don't miss lifts and say thank you, oh, you're our favorite. Here we have Carver, 160 kilos. Biggest opener for the under 74s. After also having the biggest squat in the under 74s. Just looking to put it all out there. Self lift off, awesome to see. Ooh, definitely looks a bit unstable there, but honestly,
2-1, he gets it.
oh, interesting.
Just that one side. far side.
Got a red on the far side.
Right, now we're going to the second round.
Unclear exactly what it was for, based on what some of the other ones are for. Might be for his butt coming up. Couldn't see it on the live stream, but then again, the refs have a different viewpoint than us, so they might be seeing something that we're not. During the bench, you have to keep your shoulder blades, your head, and your butt in contact with the pad at all times. So if they can ever see any daylight through any of those positions, you're going to get a red for that. Some of the things, you can't have the bar come down and then back up. You can have kind of one side go up and then the other side, but you can't have the whole bar come down and then go back up. Your heels can't come off the floor. They can slide though. And well, you have to complete the ramp. That's pretty important. Nice, 107.5 there for Damien. 2 reds on that one though. Unclear exactly what that was for. Looks like his coach is going up to jury. If you get any white lights in there, you can go up to the jury to try and get it overturned. It's awesome to see we have enough referees now to have a jury running at Nationals. You can also go the other way, and if someone gets 2 whites and a red, you can contest it. I haven't seen that been done at this National so far, but as an option for any coach who wants to contest someone else's lift. Oh, has it? Oh, I wasn't there, so I didn't see it. Yeah. How dare I not take more time off? Plenty of strength there from Francis. I believe he missed the first one on his butt, and he gets 2 to 1. Much better. Lots of bum lift calls today. I wish we had a better view for actually seeing if the bum is actually lifting up or what's happening there. We're doing 115 now from Jordan. But with that make there from Francis, we now have everyone making a bench. Which is awesome. We're not going to have any bombs in the 74 from bench. Again, Jordan, incredibly fast descent. Definitely slowed down, though, on the press this time. Probably uses a lot of that kind of explosive force off his chest to power through. We'll see what he goes up to. Might just be 117.5 with the 2.5 kilo jump, because that mid-sticking point was definitely slowing down. And bench is definitely one where once you hit that sticking point, you ain't making it through. 117 now for Dylan. 7.5 kilo jump. Smooth, unfortunate there for Dylan. I believe that was a butt coming up. Interesting that he also got that from front ref. So it must have been pretty egregious for that. Weight jumps 120 kilos now for Fan. 10 kilo jump on this.
Let's go, mate.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It had to have been egregious.
I've seen it.
Or they're seeing like this side come up and not full thing, and they're calling that.
That's it, man. Let's go.
Very nice looking press from here from Fan. And he gets 3 white lights for it. Very nice. Definitely a struggle for Fan, but like he got it through, no reds at all. Very clean attempts. We're now going up to 142.5 for Hamish. A small jump for what I believe was a very easy opener there from Hamish. Maybe he's just trying to get as many kilos as he can. Sometimes you have to kind of, especially for bench, change what your initial plan was. Maybe the press calls are longer than you expected. A lot of people train with what they say is a pause bench, but really it's a slight stop. So they do a rolling stop rather than a proper stop. And then get real terrified when they come to comp and realize they actually have to stop it on their chest.
Last night set up. Get behind him, come on.
Very nice there from Hamish. What did the rest give him for that? 3 white lights, good lift. Again, easy press for him. I'm assuming he's just trying to get as many kilos as he can. Kind of taking a smaller second jump to take the same sort of jump on the third. Give him as much energy in the third. And we're going up to 145 now for Brandon. This is a 7.5 kilo jump for him. More along the lines of what I would expect at these sorts of weights. But his opener was absolutely flew up, so should not be a problem here at all. It was definitely more of a struggle than the opener, but the press looked comfy. 3 white lights.
If you're just wondering in the crowd what you hear reference waiting for, when he gives a press command, the bar must be motionless on the chest.
We're jumping it up to 147.5 now for EJ, down to our last 3-second attempts.
Let's go, EJ.
Got EJ, John, and then Carver, and then we're back up for the third attempts. EJ taking a self handoff. I got a certain affinity for the self handoff crew. It's definitely the best way to keep a consistent handout in competition. When you're, having to rely on someone else to give you a handout, you can always have, people give. Some people don't give the best handouts. Very nice there from EJ. And the rest goes 3 white lights for it. Very nice. Weight jumps to 152 now for John. John is not part of Team Self Handout, so he is relying a bit on the head spotter to give him a good handout. The thing is, though, if you want a better handout as a lifter, you should always discuss with the head spotter how you want it. You'll see John, at least in the opener, maybe he'll do it again here, talk the head spotter how he wants the lift off.
Let's go, John.
Especially if you have some sort of intricate setup, always talk to the head spotter first. Otherwise, they'll be standing over you and it'll be very uncomfortable. There's a bit of a struggle there, but he locks it out. Definitely slowed down at the top, and unfortunately, 3 reds on that one. Looks like, yeah, unfortunately there were multiple failures on that one. Soft elbows on the lockout from head spotter, and then butt coming up from the sides. All issues that John's dealt with in the past, especially the elbow issue. We call him John Straight Arm Strachan in Auckland. You can figure out why.
And the bar is loaded.
But we've got 170 now for Carver. Setting himself up nicely for that 175. Those 3 reds on the bar for his bench. Carver also part of Self Lift Off crew. But from the sides.
Done. 3 wide lights, that's a good lift.
3 weights for carve weight. Strong looking press there. Yeah. Beating his recent Worlds performance, but not his best all time. But as anyone who went to Worlds will tell you, it's a different animal, so kind of got to treat it like its own competition, like entirely in any other powerlifting comp. But we now go into our third. Starting us off, we have Damien 07.5. Missed this on the second. I can't remember exactly what for. I think it was his butt coming up, because I believe he locked it out.
Just giving the bar a bit of a clean up.
What? Oh, elbow not locked out at the top from the head spotter. His butt coming up.
The bar is loaded for Damon. Let's go, Damon! Make this one nice and clean, you're strong enough.
There's plenty of strength on his initial second. He just needs to keep his butt down. Well, you know, it's going to be hard.
Come on, press! Hold it!
We'll see what the refs say. Was his butt down the whole time? Unfortunately not. Looks like they could have... Yeah. A lot of the lifters, when they start to do their press, they're going to drive their quads into the bench to kind of give them the leg drive and bench. And that will a lot of time end up with, you know, a couple centimeters of daylight shining through at your butt on the bench because you're just trying to drive as hard as you can.
Come on, Dylan.
It's a real skill to kind of get that drive, but also keep your butt on the bench. It's a lot of practice at heavy weights. But we have 117.5 now again for Dylan. I think he had the same problem as well. Also, a lot of commercial gyms or other gyms will have a higher pad than the one that we use here. And that can also lead to you having more leg drive on this pad than you're used to, which can kind of lift your butt off the bench by itself. He's fighting for it. He locks it. What did the rest say about this one? 3 wide lights. That's much better from him. Looked like he definitely calmed down a bit on the leg drive to kind of allow himself to press it out. It was a slower press, but I mean, he got what he had to get. 117 as well for Jordan. Currently 2 for 3, taking that smaller jump going into the third.
The bar is loaded. Let's go, Jordan.
Unfortunately, a bit too heavy.
Stronger in that hold, bobbling around in the chest.
Bit too heavy on that one, but in reality, he's only losing out on 2.5 kilos. And I mean, since he did 115 on the second, 117 on the third, could argue that he didn't actually miss out any kilos on this total because he hit the 115 and just couldn't quite get the 117. So good day overall for him for bench. Jumping up, we have 120 now for Francis. I believe this was meant to be his second attempt. Based on that, he had to repeat his opener. Looking a bit shaky. Hopefully stay stable for it. He locks it out. What are the refs going to say about it? And he gets 3 wide lights for it. Good lift. Definitely looked like more around kind of a second or just slightly higher than what his second would have been. But based on some of his, I mean, the score sheet in general, there's a lot of red going on already. I think a lot of the lifters are being surprised by the setup as well. There's also the fact that there are like quite bright lights on you while you're out here. That can be quite distracting. But we've got 122.5 kilos now for Fan.
Press.
Unfortunate there for Fan. Didn't really lose any kilos on his total because he got 120 on the second.
7.5 kilos.
Unfortunately, a lot of time when you see, at least for the larger benches above like 120, you see a 2.5 kilo jump. Usually it's because the second was a bit too heavy for them and they just are trying to get whatever they can. Usually it's because, you know, didn't really alter their plan for the day. Because really, if you look at it, that's like a 2% jump, which really is not much at all.
Let's go, Hamish.
We got Hamish with 147.5 kilos now. A 5 kilo jump up here for Hamish. Second looked good. Should still be strong enough for this.
Drive.
Unfortunate, just a bit heavy. Still works away with 142.5. But we jump it up to a cool 150 kilos now for EJ. Down to our last 4 benches of this flight. Then we'll go into the 83s immediately after.
Come on, EJ. 150 kilos.
Now that is a very nice third attempt choice there. And looked a lot better than the second. We're going to get lights at some point to see what he got here, but it was looking good. 3-way lights. Great lift there for EJ. Just got to give him a bit of suspense at the end, you know. Weight stays at 150 now for Brandon. And our last 3 benches.
150 kilos from WCPA. Get through this one. Come on.
Let's grab the mic. It's a karaoke session now. Just watch the viewers hit like -3. Unfortunate there for Brandon, but coming up off on that one. Weight is going to be a repeat of a second for John Strachan.
The bar is loaded. Come on, John.
Missed it for 2 reasons. One is elbow not being locked out at the top from the head ref, and his butt coming up from the side refs.
He's just cramping.
Good job.
He's a wee lean boy right now. Locks it out. What do the refs say? 3-way lights, much better. I don't know what he did differently, but it looked a lot cleaner as well. Man walks off grabbing his booty. I think he was cramping up, but you know what? Better to cramp now than on the lift. So we jump it up 175 now. 3 big reds for Carver.
Bar is loaded. 175 Carver. Pause. Let's go.
Easy, Cowboy. Come on.
Let's do this.
Go on, Cowboy. Take it.
It's always on. He fights through for it. What do the refs say about it? Oh, he gets 2 reds for it. Butt came off the bench.
Good effort. Still up from his work.
Definitely a different setup than most of his lifters are used to. I know Carvois a lot of time trains at a commercial gym. Yeah.
Alright, we're loading 100 kilos for James Wilson.
We now go into our 83s. Starting us off, we'll have 100 kilos for James. James ended up going 2 for 3 on squats. Just missing the second one on depth, mainly being in his own head. Hopefully he's feeling a bit more confident going into the bench and the deadlift. Bench especially, a lot of times when you see people who have quite low confidence on their lifts, you'll see them bring it down to their chest quite slowly. And honestly, it's just such a exhausting time bringing the bench down too slowly and too uncontrolled. You kind of have to find that great middle point between dive bombing it and slow and controlled. Very easy under there from James. Kind of what you want to see as well. Before we open this.
Alright, we're going up 117.5 for Wilson.
Jump it up to 117.5 for Wilson. All the times you'll see kind of a big disparity in opener weight, especially on bench, is a lot of times people will take kind of a higher number and then just take really small jumps. So like the 5 and 2.5 kilo jumps, or take it back to like something you could do for like 5 or 6 reps, but take large jumps. It's really just a confidence thing as well. Like a lot of people who are a lot more confident in their lifting will take bigger jumps, and you see people who are kind of worried about missing or worried about like how the weight's going to feel will kind of try and set that opener heavier to feel the weight. It can work out for some people, but a lot of people kind of struggle when that happens. Another very clean opener there. 117 for Wilson. Very strong. Jumped up 120 now for George.
Alright, 120 being loaded on for George. And the bar is loaded for George. Let's go.
So we got George coming in, hit a 195 squat. So just looking to put together a solid total. That was a very easy looking bench. Did get a red on one side for, I'm assuming, butt, just based on how the day's been going. We got Jack Tan here with 125 kilos. Today might be the mythical day. Jack hits 140. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, but it's been a 5-year journey to 140, and who knows? With his quad being a bit of an issue, maybe he'll just try and push it on bench and see what happens. Oh, is this the road to 140 we've been waiting for? It's on the cards today, I think. It's looking strong. I also did hear that did do a bit more damage to his quad, so we'll see how that affects him on deadlifts, but good to see him still competing. Weight also stays at 125 now for William.
The bar is loaded.
All of his openers still looking very speedy. Great to see. You put 140 in last, no matter what, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No.
Hey, you're doing 140 now.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
35-40, right? Easy.
No leg life.
Yeah.
40 lasted, bro.
What?
40 lasted dress.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you're using.
Maybe this is what you need.
Modified last.
You're modified last time with your feet just on the floor, so it's
Yeah. Nice looking press there from William.
3 white lights, good lift.
Had a bit of a longer press call on that because it was a bit bouncy on his chest. Quite a quick descent, which is just leads it to bounce a bit around. Just got to kind of get that settled a bit quicker, and he'll get the press call a lot faster. Jumping it up, we have 145 now for Jamie. We've got Jamie versus Jared for the bench press. Outside of, obviously, Tim Monagati, who I don't even consider in the competition because he's too far ahead.
Nice, Jamie.
It's a nice press. It did look a bit slow, though. 3 white lights on that.
All right, wasted the same Jared.
We'll see how Jared's opener goes. But that, well, it was a good opener. It wasn't snappy.
let's go, J-Rod.
Could just be his bench style, though. But
What do you think?
someone find him now.
Go, Jared. Go, Jared. Jared, tell him how you want the handoff.
Good guy, Jack.
Coach Jack.
This is all you. This bench is all you. Yeah. Can you come in to weigh in? Tell him how you want the handoff.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out and I'm going to press it. Nice.
Oh, definitely looked a lot faster than Jamie's. 3 white lights on that one. Looking strong out there. So definitely, I believe that Jamie has, in theory, a bigger deadlift. So Jared's going to try and get as many kilos here as he can. Ian now going up next, 150 kilos. Ian is, again, our equipped lifter. This time he'll be wearing a bench shirt, which is essentially like a canvas shirt. But as you pull down into it, it kind of like builds up the springiness behind your arms and helps you press it back. The technique you'll see is very different as well. You're bringing it a lot lower into your chest. Rack.
Just change the rack height. 6.
Unfortunately, there was a rack height that wasn't inputted, rack height change that wasn't inputted into the system. So he'll get a reset on the clock, more than likely. Yeah.
Bars loaded.
So he'll get a reset clock at 1 minute and get to come out for this. Luckily, it happened on the opener, not later on. Can be very off-putting when you come out ready to go and then you have to jump back in while it gets reset up. But you'll see the bench kind of gets brought down more to like his, almost like more deeper to his belly button and lower on his chest, because that allows you to build up that springiness in the bench shirt, which you can see riding up his arms right now. We'll then look to throw it back. Actually a lot more dangerous to bench and equip because it's been known to fling back towards the head a lot more than regular. And the real issue for equip benching is actually bringing it down. A lot of people can't. There is a common thing of not being able to bring it down low enough because your bench shirt is too tight and you literally can't pull it down any further. But next up, we've got another raw lifter with 175, Tim Monagati. Starting us off with 3 big reds aside for his
The
opener.
bar is loaded. Let's go.
Based on how Tim's squat attempts went, I'm sure this will go very fast indeed. Part of crew self lift off as well. Makes sense, he trains at his home gym in Queenstown. Very easy looking press. Kind of part of the team sink and heave. You'll see generally 2 schools of bench press in powerlifting. You'll see the people who do what's called a t-shirt touch, where you kind of try and stop it on your chest as gently as possible and hold it there. A lot of the kind of like a lot of the lighter lifters do this technique because a lot of the time the other side, which is kind of that sink and heave you saw from Tim, requires a lot more muscle mass, and it's just harder for lighter classes to get that level of muscle mass. Not impossible, but just more difficult. So you'll see a lot of the heavier men especially do the kind of sinking technique just because they have bigger chests and bigger guts to sink into. Was I wrong? Very easy looking press there from James. 3 white lights on that. Interesting technique when he hits his chest. His elbows almost seem to flare before he starts pressing. This might be a technique thing that he's just decided to go with because he might have issues pushing back towards his head. So he's flaring early to get that kind of early chest activation into it. But we next up have 125 kilos for Wilson. Solid second there from Wilson. 3 white lights.
All right, we're going to 127.5.
Definitely looking like he's leaving himself room for his third attempt. We're going into our second for George, 127, so 2.5 more than Wilson just hit.
The bar is loaded for George.
Real good in this session as well is you can kind of, in each flight, it's just one class, which is awesome to see because it just makes it really easy to tell where people are relative to others in individual lifts. You can also see on the kind of score sheet their estimated totals based on certain numbers, based on their deadlift planned opener. Very nice there from George.
Well, the refs say 2-1, he gets it.
Gets the red on one side, heel coming up on that side.
Heels must stay flat throughout the lift.
So you're allowed to have your feet slide, so they can slide back and forth, they can slide all around, but they can't lift up off the ground.
Bar is loaded for Jack.
They also, not often a issue, but they also can't be in contact with other parts of the bench. So that is the kind of rod at the bottom of the bench or the safeties.
Taking his time.
Let's go, Jack.
Oh. No, just doing a big jump for third, saving energy. Looking strong there from Jack. 3 white lights. Just staying in the pocket for this.
Williams going to 130 kilos.
Weight stays at 130 kilos now for William. 40.
And the bar is loaded for William, 130 kilos.
40. William really telling the head spotter how he wants to lift off. Awesome job. That is exactly what you want to see from a lifter who's getting a lift off. Very nice there from William.
Last little bit there.
3-way lights, good lift.
Good lift.
And it looked like got exactly the lift off he wanted from the head spotter. So be sure to talk to your head spotter if you are lifting. And if you want to be an even better head spotter, controversial take, lift off with both hands overhand. If you're lifting off one hand over, one under, you are
Let's go, Jamie. 150
actively being a detriment to the lifter. 150 kilos being loaded up for Jamie. Jamie looked strong on the 145. It wasn't snappy, but it was strong.
Let's go, Jamie. Come on. Come on, Jamie.
Ooh. Definitely starting to hit that sticking point in the middle. Interesting to see if he'll go for a 152 maybe in the next one, or if he'll try and go for that 155 to give him the bigger kilos. We've got Jared now going 152, bigger jump than Jamie did, but also his opener looked far easier than Jamie's. So we'll see how it kind of works out overall.
Go, Jared. Go, Jared. Got it. Go, push. Easy.
Solid second attempt there.
Looking strong there from Jared. Also starting to slow down a bit.
What's the red? What's the red for?
Up and down what?
Up and down for the, I think, heel. Heel up and down.
Alright, we're loading 170 for Ian. Viral load for Ian.
Alright, we're going 170 now for Ian in our equipped lifter.
It can't be, that's
Blue
blue.
light.
He said up, down, but not what for, so it could have been butt or heel, head. Where's Toby?
Money, you got it?
Timed out for Jared.
Press. Lock it.
What, you timed out? You know the minute? It rolled over. Unfortunate there for Ian. Couldn't quite get it onto his chest. A classic problem there for equipped. Weight goes 180 kilos now for Tim. I timed out for the lift after you went on and did it.
I think I got you, Hamish.
Bars lift for Tim, 180 kilos.
Wait, how do you think you timed out for the lift?
Big second attempt here.
I got my wife and I timed out. You have to give the lifter, the judge, a thumbs up, otherwise I don't give it to you. Jared is a fucking spud. Jared and Warren, what a combo. Dude, how do you get that combo, Jared and Warren? Talk about the blind leading the blind. Ooh. Unfortunately there for Tim, just hit kind of that mid-sticking point. Plenty of strength off the chest, but that's also the strength of like that heave technique. We'll see if he gets that on the third attempt. But going into the thirds, we have 110 now for James.
Through it. 110 being loaded off for James Wilson. He's looked good so far. His first two attempts were great. The bar is loaded. Let's go, James. 110 kilos. Let's go.
Opener and second looks strong for James. Hopefully he's going to keep that strength going into this one. Oh, locks it out. What did a rest give him? 3 whites. Looking very strong there for James today. Only missing that one squat so far on depth, but I'm sure he's happy. I believe 180 is like his current PB anyway for squats, so it's great to hit that on the platform. Jumping up to 130 kilos now for Wilson. Nice 5 kilo jump from his second.
To be honest, it's probably not a bad call.
No, it's the right call, but
52 was
yeah.
You were pushing 2.5.
It's a good thing.
It's not crazy 57, but that was, it would, I feel like, be pushing it.
Well, maybe you can actually think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell yourself whatever you want to make it feel better. Oh. Unfortunate there for Wilson. He just got stuck at the top there. Kind of did a big no-no as a lifter is letting go of the bar or moving away from it once you fail. It happens in both squat and bench. More dangerous in squat especially. You'll see lifters fail a squat and then just walk out from under it while they're being helped up. Makes it very difficult for the spotters and loaders and can cause some injuries actually. We got 132.5 now for George. Found his second gear in there, paused it halfway up, and he gets it 2-1. Good lift. Definitely about the max he was going to be going today for sure. Weight stays at 132.5 now for William.
The bar is loaded for William. Let's go, William.
Know that feel as a speaker. Just make some noise. Unfortunate there for William, just getting stuck at that kind of top part. Very common kind of sticking point is that mid-range or top end, depending on your kind of hand position. So if you have a more wider bench, a lot of times you'll get kind of stuck just off the chest because it's using a lot more chest. Whereas a closer grip will usually have a pretty easy time off the chest, but fail it kind of at that lockout area. Going up to 135. Is it even worth watching? It's not even 140 from Jack. But I guess he does have a quad injury, so, you know, acceptable for today. Man's going to be giving it all the doots for this one.
Let's go, Jack! Come on!
Locks it out, and he gets 3 white lights for it. Very nice. We're bumping it up. 155 for Jamie. This is a sizable jump after the second. Second was looking like it was struggling, but we got a 5 kilo jump up here. He's every kilo he can now in this class. It's quite a competitive class.
The bar is loaded. 155 for Jamie Campbell.
So he can come out with a bit more energy and just look to grind through this one. Just got to know it's going to be a fight. Just keep going on it.
Let's go, Jamie. Let's go. Push, 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 push. Come on.
Unfortunately, yeah, just a bit too heavy. Good fight for it, but yeah, got that stuck in that middle point and just couldn't quite drive through it. We got the same weight now for Jared. 2.5 kilo jump up from the second, mainly just because they timed out and didn't put a card in. I mean, this will give him some much needed kilos on his total here though. Jared more of a subtotal king, squat and bench.
Let's go. Push, push, push.
Oh, unfortunate there. Still walks away with 152 and a half. I think he would have had 57. Yeah, the extra weight would have made him try harder. We now got 180 kilos for Ian. Hopefully he's got the suit set up properly this time. Could also be that the weight's just, funny enough, too light. The common joke for a quick lifters is just put on more weight and you'll hit your chest or you'll hit depth and squat. So hopefully he's able to kind of get it to his chest a bit quicker, and then turn it around once the start call comes out, or the press call, not the start call. All the calls.
Close. I mean, it's a call. Whatever.
He's just like, should we pass it, makes you smash it, and you're like, oh,
Gets it to his chest, pressing it back. He locks it out. What did the ref say? He gets it. 3 white lights. Much better, much more controlled there for me. And down to our last bench of the morning session. We have 180 kilos now from Tim Monagati. Then we'll have a 10-minute break before the deadlifts. And that will kind of conclude out the morning session. As a reminder, we do have 2 more sessions afterwards, so stick around or come in. Come say hey if you're local. Looks like he is switching it up and getting a handout this time. Some lifters kind of, use this as a way to switch up the lift and give yourself more confidence going into it. Or is that kind of extra knob you can turn as the weight gets heavier? And it looks like it, I guess it's all in the lift off. Guess that's telling me anyone who wants to self lift off, just may as well get someone else to lift off. But that concludes out the bench. So we'll go into the deadlifts in 10 minutes. So see you all soon. cheeky wee geese at the kind of score sheet going on here. As we can see, there's kind of a pretty clear top, as you'd see, which is kind of at Carbois, then John and EJ. But I think looks like there's going to be a bit of a battle for 4th and 5th sort of placings. But we'll just have to see as the lifting continues.
Bars loaded for fan. Let's get this started. Deadlift time, come on.
What is this? Oh yeah, that angle. Ooh. Oh. What? That's the only angle for you. Easy looking there from Fan. 3 white lights. Good lift.
200 kilos being loaded off for Jordan.
I'm just getting called out in this chat.
Bars loaded.
Sweet, 200 kilos going for Jordan.
200 kilos for Jordan. Let's go. Good. Looking there.
Very easy looking over there for Jordan. 3 white lights. Wedge jumps up to 207.5 kilos now for Francis.
Deadlifts are a little bit more straightforward. The lifter can just go at his own time. He only has to wait for the down command from the head referee once his knees are locked, shoulders are locked back, and he's standing tall with the weight. From there, he needs to lower the bar down, under control. The bar is loaded for Francis, 207.5 for a deadlift opener.
All these openers so far looking very comfortable for the lifters. 3 white lights there. Jumping it to, keeping it the same. 207 for Brandon.
Two types where the hands are inside the legs. The other one is the hands outside the legs. The bar is loaded for Brandon.
Another easy looking opener there.
3 white lights, good lift. Next up, 2 teams being loaded off for Hamish.
Weight's jumping up to 210 kilos. We're really just waiting to see when Tim goes out on deadlifts to see if he just goes down through the platform with him.
Bars loaded.
Go Hamish.
Comfy looking pull there for Hamish.
Solid opener there. 3 white lights, good lift.
Showing up, we have 230 now for Dylan. Can I go lift? What? I can't read that book.
Bars loaded for Dylan, 230 kilos.
Oh.
How did it feel? Yeah?
Hmm? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's better. Very nice there from Dylan.
Lewis, 230.
Dylan and Damien are actually going to be fighting it out for 4th place. So that gives Dylan a 547.5 kilo total, and this will give Damo a 542. So we're going to see a pretty good fight there for that 4th place.
Bar is loaded. Let's go, Damo. 230 kilos.
Oh, sorry, actually Brandon is currently in. Or we'll be looking to take back that as well. So
Gets it all the way through.
very quick pull there from Damo.
Repress the lights.
3 weight lights for that. Looking very strong there. Jumping it up, we have 260 now for John Strachan.
60 for John.
Coming into our last 3 pulls for the openers. So we have John, EJ, and then Carvois.
Bar is loaded for John.
These 3 being, at this point, pretty clear top 3 with a prognosis 695, 652, and 630 from each of them. And then the next down is around 550. So pretty clear first, second, third, unless something goes drastically wrong for any of them. Or drastically right. But with how easy that looked for John, I don't think he's going to have any problems trying to bump up the weight on that.
E-Man's coming out.
Looking forward to seeing a 280, 290 from him today. Would be awesome to see. EJ's doing 262.5. This will set him on that 630 total and kind of confirm at least a 3rd place for him.
Make sure it's all good.
Technically, if John has a awful pulls after this and EJ goes really well, he could fight. He could take that 2nd off him, but that would mean about a 285 or 287 for EJ, and for John to miss the rest of his deadlifts. So here we go, the 262.5 for EJ. Oh, I mean, it's looking like he could go for that 285 sort of number. So I guess that 2nd place is really for John to hang on to, maybe. But for now, we've got 270 from Carvois as our heaviest opener for the under 74s. And as a note, almost the heaviest opener of this session, except for, of course, Tim, who will later be opening at around 300 plus.
The bar is loaded. Let's go, Carvois. 270 kilos for an opener.
Let's go, Carvois. Come on, man.
Come on, Carvois.
Come on, Carvois. Let's go, Carvois. Come on, Carvois.
So we'll give him a 695 kilo total. And locks it out. Nice and gentle put down on that. Gonna easily be going over 7 today. 700 kilo total. So it'll be great to see. We're now going back to our 2nd attempt starting us off. We have 210 being done for Fan.
A little bit of a fight in the middle there. About 5 kilos separating Dylan, Damo, and Brandon. And only another 5 finish.
So Fan is currently sitting in 9th, I believe. And so it's just kind of trying to add to his total, end the day good for him. Kind of setting himself up for future competitions as just kind of a place and time today. Very nice there from Fan. Very controlled off the floor. You'll see that a lot with sumo deadlifters is kind of very long time for them to kind of break the floor, but as soon as it breaks it, it powers through. Patience off the floor is kind of required for a sumo deadlift. You do see some people going a kind of more rounded back sumo. It's not quite as common these days, but it does get done, and so you see him break the floor very quickly, but get stuck at lockout.
215 kilos.
Usually done with a closer stance, though. Fan is quite wide stance, and so doing that rounded back with a wide stance leads to a lot of instability at the top. Taking that, we have 215 kilos now for Jordan. Locks it out. Bit of a fight there for Jordan, but he gets 3 white lights for it. Good lift. See if he goes for just a 222 or 220 sort of third attempt there for Jordan. We got 220 now for Francis.
Alright, 220 kilos getting loaded off for Francis.
Francis is kind of in a position where, depending on how Hamish goes, he's kind of at that bottom end of a kind of 4 through 6 fight. It's about 10 kilos below everyone else at the moment. But depending on how everyone else goes, you can always have someone come up who you don't expect and kind of take positions off you. Oh, okay. So it looks like Francis still has room to go. So be interesting to see what he goes with after seeing what other lifters go. On your third attempt deadlift, you are able to change it, I believe, twice. So he'll be able to change it up to the point where the head spotter says bar is loaded. So that'll be good to see. Weights at 220 for Brandon. Brandon is kind of right in the mix of that 4 through 7 fighting right now. He's at, this will kind of take him up to, or I believe leave him in 6th right now with a 5:52.5. Very easy looking second attempt as well. All of these boys leaving a lot of room for that third, so we're going to probably see some jostling for position. We have 222.5 now for Hamish. We'll put him at a 545 kilo total. So within 12.5 of that 4th place.
Go Hamish.
And then we have this like Lewis D, but then there's another one Lewis, which is like
Solid pull there from Hamish. I think it'll be kind of tough for him to kind of pull for that 4th, so he might just be trying to get as high as he can right now. Well, that was strong. It wasn't. It was still looked like a bit of work on that, and 12.5 would be a bit of a jump for him there. Next up, we got 240 for Dylan. This kind of keeps him in that 4th spot for now. With how it's looking, if everyone else gets their lifts, this gives them a 2.5 kilo lead on 5th for that position. Should be good to see.
Bars loaded for Dylan.
One of the things as well, since they're all around the same sort of deadlift, with no one really leading the pack heavily in the deadlift, there can definitely be some jostling for position. It's not just a case of the biggest deadlifter just waits to see what everyone else does. We'll kind of have to guess what the other people are going to try and do and work around that. So Dylan first with the 240. He's got to make this first to make any of that matter. Oh, he makes it, but looked pretty shaky from here. Don't know if that was... Oh, red on one side. Looks like didn't fully lock out on the knees on one side. Definitely looked shaky on that kind of top half of it. Could just be a case of like lost balance off the start, but also could be he's kind of hitting his top end. So we got 242 now for Damien. This takes him into 5th, and it takes him kind of 2.5 below Dylan. Very nice from Damien. So now he is 2.5 behind Dylan in that 5th place position. And I would definitely say he looked like he had more in the tank than Dylan did.
75 is loaded on.
But we've now got to kind of jump up. We got that 275 now from John Strachan.
Had a good opener.
He kind of needs us to secure that second. EJ looks like he's kind of trying to take that second place from him with his jumps right now.
Come on. Let's get behind him.
Come on, John.
Come on, John, let's go.
Let's go, John.
You got this, man. Come on. Lock it in.
Let's go.
Come on, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Nice, John.
Beautiful.
3 white lights on that. With that, he kind of locks in that second place from EJ. It's going to be a tremendous pull for EJ to try and take that from John on his third. 300-ish sort of numbers. So he is now, EJ is doing 277.5 now for EJ. He's already kind of confirmed in that third place, but be impressed if he takes it from John now.
The bar is loaded for EJ. 277.5.
So we got 277.5, a huge pull for a 74.
Let's go.
Very nice there from EJ.
Second attempt there.
And he gets 3 white lights for it. Oh, looking a bit out of it, leaving the platform.
285.
A lot of time with big deadlifts, you're holding the bar for so long that you just get kind of out of breath and a little blackouty at the
This
top.
would give him
So,
17 total.
but here we got Carvar 285 being loaded up. This will jump up to 710 on the total. No one really chasing him to fight him for position, but just looking to make as big a total as he can. You'll see as well on a lot of these kind of top lifts, especially for the lighter guys, you'll see them doing sumo pulls. That's pretty consistent at every level, as the lighter guys usually stick with sumo. You'll see conventional kind of being more used as the lifter gets heavier. A lot of the time that can be due to having more muscle, which helps with conventional a lot more, as well as you get bigger, a lot of the time your mobility for sumo is just not there anymore, especially the heavyweight males. A lot of them don't kind of have the ability to do sumo just because of their mobility and just their leverages.
And the bar is loaded. 285.
But we have the bar loaded now, 285 for Carvar. Man's even got matching deadlift slippers. Got to keep it stylish. So Carvar's one of the lifters that does kind of a more rounded back sumo, and you can see it slows down a lot as he hits the top. Still able to lock it out, but yeah, it's just a kind of different choice on where you want to have your toughest position.
Let's get them all through this. 200.
So we go into our fair attempts now. 220 kilos first up for Jordan. This is the part where people start jockeying around a bit for position, because you can change your final deadlift twice in the final round. And so you can change it up to the point where they say bar is loaded for your lift. As a note, you can't go down from what's already loaded on the bar, so part of the positioning that you want to go for is where you can still make the lift.
One of the spotters, each one, just roll it forward for Jonesy. So grab the end of the bar. So he's not like a drain.
Oh no, I know, just defining how to roll a bar forward. Grab the end and then you just go like this.
The bar is loaded. 220 kilos for Jordan. Final lift of the day. Let's get behind him. Come on, Jordan. Let's go. Come on, Jordan.
Unfortunately there for Jordan, just a bit too heavy today.
Good effort, good day from him. Well done.
Still ends with a 505 kilo total, so just breaking over that 500. Sure he'd be happy with that kind of numbers. We're jumping up now to 220 for Fan. No position changing from this one. Just trying to look to end on a high on that 220. I believe this would be a PR for him. So this will be awesome to see.
The bar is loaded with Fan.
Let's go there. Could always bring up Powerlifting, just search about 20 by 74.
Oh, true. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Fan.
Yes. I do that too. I'll be like, ready.
Oh, unfortunately, just a bit too much on the day.
Good effort today, mate.
Man's holding his glutes. They definitely put in a lot of work for his sumo pull, so definitely been work today. But we're jumping up to 230 kilos now for Francis.
10 kilo jump for his third attempt. Made the second look pretty good.
There's some pretty nice looking jumps here. We got a 12.5 from his first to second, and then a 10 second to third. So definitely seems like the man's feeling confident. You see kind of the smaller jumps a lot of times when there's a lack of confidence in kind of the numbers you picked, or you just picked too heavy on your second. But hoping he gets this one so we get some green on the board for the third deadlifts.
The bar is loaded for Francis. 230 kilos. Final deadlift for him.
And here we go. Francis coming on out. And it was obviously the right call on those numbers. Looked very strong. 3 white lights.
Awesome lifting, Francis.
Definitely still looking comfortable.
All right, now we go. Weight stays the same.
Weight stays at 230 here for Hamish. Interesting. Not looking to try and... The volume of the music. Yeah. Now, this pull from Hamish will leave him in 7th.
230 kilos for Hamish.
Looks like they're not really trying, at least with the prognosis, we'll leave him in 7th.
Come on, Hamish. Boy.
Unfortunately there for Hamish, just couldn't quite get it over his knees on that one. Good fight though from him. We're jumping it to 235 now for Brandon.
235.
Now this will take Brandon up to 4th place if he gets this.
So if he pulls this, he'll go into 3rd. 4th, sorry.
So he'll be one of the first of kind of the bigger group of that 4th to 6th trying to pull it. So this would be a great pull if he can get this.
Come on, Brandon. Let's go.
This will actually give him kind of the win on body weight if everything goes as planned right now. So if he gets this, expect to see some changes in some of the numbers. Oh, unfortunately, a bit too heavy.
A little bit too much for today. Good effort, good day of lifting.
I mean, great effort by him. That kind of leads him at that, unfortunately, 8th place, I believe, right now.
Weight change. Now it's gone to 245.
So we've had a weight change from Damien for 245 kilos. Interesting change here. I don't believe this is needed for any sort of placing battles he's going for. Actually, this will give him a bodyweight battle over Dylan, He is 0.07 grams lighter. Pull him into 5th, I think.
Go, Damo. Pull the slack.
Come on, Dano. Let's go. Go, go, go. There's a little bit too much today. Everyone's jostling for trying to get into the highest position they can at Nationals. Now we have
We got Dylan now with 250 kilos. This is secured. He's secured 4th.
He's locked into 4th place.
Because of all the jostling and no one really making the thirds, Dylan keeps his position at 4th. No, he's the last. Oh, yeah, for 3rd, yeah. I guess, yeah, technically he could try and load it to 340 or 350 to try and take 3rd, but here we go, 250 for Dylan. This will be an awesome lift to end on. This is 1/4 of a ton as the under 74, so like 3.5 times body weight here.
You've only been here one day.
I'm glad it's not me, man.
Go on, Dylan.
Unfortunately, lost his positioning off the start there, a bit too heavy. We've now got EJ with 282.5. This will end him with 650 total, which is a nice round number to end it off on. And interesting to see, but very common actually, is in the male deadlifts for thirds, you see more red than green. Interesting enough, a lot of the time for the female deadlifts and stuff, you see a lot more green than red. I don't know if it's just because the female lifters are a lot more sensible with their lifts. I almost guarantee that's probably the case. And a lot of the guys have a lot more ego about what they can lift. But we've only got one made lift so far.
You're not wrong.
I know.
And the bar is loaded for EJ.
The bar is loaded 282.5 for EJ.
Actually, this would pull him into 2nd.
I mean, stupid number choice, but yeah. Call it what you want.
Let's pull him into 2nd.
No, no.
Yeah,
No, it won't.
650. Oh, 660.
Yeah.
Come on, E. Let's go, EJ.
That gives him 650. And that gives him 650 total. Awesome work from him.
That locks it into 3rd place.
650 total.
650 kilo total. Awesome day, EJ.
We now have John Strachan loaded up to 290.
290 kilos for John Strachan.
I know he's had this on his mind for a while now, so yeah.
It's just for. It's just for.
Because he can.
What's his current PB?
The PB deadlift or the
Yeah, 287.
deadlift PB?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe a total. I
Um,
don't know. I'm pretty sure.
I think his best bench was 165 though when he had total PB.
Carl was going for 2.5 kilo PB.
So we have these last two lifts and we're going straight into the under 83 kilo class. Yeah.
Alright, we're getting ready. Bar is loaded for John.
And here we go, John Strachan.
Let's get behind him. Come on, John.
Come on, John, let's go!
Yes.
Come
Come on,
on!
John.
Get after it, John, let's go!
Stay loud the whole time. Come on. Stick with it.
Everything you got, come on! Don't let go!
Let's go,
Go,
John.
go!
Little bit too
Unfortunate there.
Second place. And an awesome performance.
Great
from
effort
John.
there from John. Just a bit too heavy on the day.
Well done, John. All right, final deadlift with the 74 kg.
We've now got our final pull, 292.5. This will give Kavla a 2.5 kilo total PB.
Which would be 717.5 kilos.
I just saw the messages. we found ourselves a spam bot. Yep. Darren's on the case. Well, they know I'm commentating.
Bar is loaded.
Why you ruin me like this, Darren?
292.5 for Kavla.
Got 292 now for Kavla.
Come on, Kavla. Let's go. Come on, Kavla.
2.5 kilo PB
You
here.
got this. Take what's yours. Let's go. All the way. Hold on. Oh! Yes! Come on, lock it! Lock it! Come on, fight!
He gave it a hell of a fight, but a bit too heavy on the day. The classic round back sumo, just can't quite finish the lockout. But can't get too stuck on that. We're now going to our 83s. We're setting us off 190 for James Wilson. The battles we've got coming up, well, we've got first off, we got Tim Monagatti in first. Unless someone wants to pull 400 kilos, I don't think anyone's going to be catching Tim. We've got kind of a battle for fourth place, I believe. So four through 7 again, very close together. We got kind of a prognosis of 597, 570, 575, 580. So very close together there, especially the 5 through 7. So that'll be good to see. But getting straight into it, 190 here for James. Been looking very strong all day. All his openers have been going really well, so should see the same thing here. And we do. Smooth and steady there from James. Three-way lights, locks it out. Good lift. Jumping up 220 for George. Awesome to see we're already in kind of that 220, 240 range for openers. Give it only 4 or 5 years ago, the kind of these sorts of numbers would be only for the top 5 openers of the class, let alone the second opener. Any more left? Very nice there from George. Very controlled. We have 220 as well now for Jared. Jared is currently the one who is kind of in that 4th place, and for everyone else to try and take from him. Yeah. All of a Norman. We just see him like Dig Trio sticking out.
Let's go, Jared!
Whoa. Easy looking pull there from Jared. Did he? We'll see if Jared finally out deadlifts his squat. We now have Jack 222.5. Hopefully his quad's not going to mess with him too much on this. Now, if he really wants to not have his quad fail him, he'll pull this conventional. Like a big dog.
Conventional master race.
See, I'll do it conventional. Looks like he's doing it sumo. Risk it for the biscuit, as they say. And that's why he does it sumo. He is very proficient at that. Easy lift there. 3-way lights. 235 now for William.
Probably too late for
With Ian, I'm like,
It's not you.
no, that's all right.
Sorry.
240 for Jack.
The bar is loaded for William. 235.
You got the card in this time, let's go. He took till the 7th. Jack, if you really wanted to preserve the squad, do it conventional. Do it conventional. Let's go 240 conventional.
Look out there.
Very nice there from William. 3 white lights. Good lift. Coming up, we have Ian with 240. I believe even though Ian is a equipped lifter, I'm not sure if he does his deadlifts equipped, so we'll have to wait and see when he comes out. He is? Oh, okay.
Pretty sure that's a suit. See how low straps are?
Yeah.
Bar is loaded. Let's go in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep, so he is wearing a deadlift suit for this one as well. Deadlift suit actually doesn't actually give as much as people as a squat and bench suit do for their respective lifts. Problem is, squat and bench rely on you kind of going down with the weight and building up tension, whereas a deadlift suit you kind of have to find tension yourself, and so they're a lot looser than the other suits. Very easy though there for Ian. 3 white lights there. Interesting, he's also still doing it conventional. Again, deadlift suit is much better for a sumo lifter than a conventional lifter. But the issue with equipped lifting for sumo is it's very hard to find your upright position with the suit because it's kind of pulling you the whole time you're trying to jockey into position. But now we have 245 from Jamie.
245 kilos.
This is to kind of set Jamie into that 3rd place. So, should be comfortable for him. It's an opener, but... Definitely comfortable there from Jamie. Interesting. Oh, maybe that's why he was getting a delayed down call, is because he wasn't locking himself out. Did look like his hands are quite close together, so he might have issues with his shoulders coming through with that hand positioning. Was it the shoulders? Yeah. His hands are real close. It's just hard to get through. Weight goes 250 now for Wilson. With Jamie missing that deadlift, it's actually going to be... could be some play around for Jared, especially if he ends up retaking it. Very nice there from Wilson.
3 white lights. That's how you throw 250 around. All right, we're making a big jump.
Now we're jumping up to Tim Monagatti with the exhibition 307.5 kilos. Hitting on his opener bigger than any of the 74s hit on their 3rds by a comfortable margin. It seems to be a New Zealand tradition that the 83 class is always dominated by one crazy strong lifter. Previously it was Brett Gibbs, now we got Tim Monagatti, just leagues ahead of everyone else. Very nice looking from here, and 3 white lights there for Tim. That sets him up for first with a roughly 120 kilo gap before the next Raw lifter. So looking forward to seeing all the Raw guys trying to pull 350 to 400 to catch up to Tim. But we go into our second round. Starting us off, we have James with a cool 200 kilos being loaded up on the bar. It's really annoying that Ian's in the actual like good lifts score thing.
Bar is loaded. 200 kilos for James. Let's go. All the way. Knock it out.
Very nice there from James. 2-1. He gets it red on one side for not being fully locked out. Looks like his hips weren't completely through on that one side. That can happen though where one side is different to the other. It happens a lot in squat where one side gets called for depth and not the other. Just how people squat, sometimes one hip goes down lower. Especially with any sort of imbalances, even in just like, you know, length of leg, it can really affect it. We have 232.5 kilos now being loaded up for George. Stands up with it. What did the rest end up giving him for that one? 3 white lights, good lift. Definitely a struggle. We'll see if what he kind of goes with on the next. If he just kind of tries to go 235, he gets as many kilos as he can. In reality, for the next kind of position jump for him, he'd need to go an extra 6.7 on top, so 240. And even that, no, that would kind of take the next position up for that. But for now, we got 232 as well for Jared. Jared is actually sitting right now in second in the raw class.
Go, Jared.
Very nice looking there from Jared. He's leaving himself room to go. 3 white lights. Should be looking good for like that kind of 240, 242 range. Next up, we got Jack, 240 kilos coming up. With these kind of bigger jumps from Jack as well, he's kind of setting himself for if he wants to go for a position jump on that third deadlift. He might decide quad be damned, I'm going to try and hit the podium or hit a higher position, depending on what, especially what Jamie Campbell does.
You don't have to wait till the last second. You don't have to wait till the last second.
Yeah, I know.
Very comfy there from Jack. Hopefully he's feeling okay. We'll see how he feels with the number he puts in next. But we've got 245 now for Jamie. He needs to kind of hit this number to stay in this. And if he misses it again, it has to get it on the third. He's losing a lot of total points, so really needs to go for it here and get it. Here we go. Hopefully he can lock it out, get his shoulders back, honestly. He looked plenty strong for it. Just, yeah, get those shoulders back and he'll be good to go. It's looking a lot better from here. And he gets 3 whites for it. Unless there's going to be some big changes, that kind of locks him in for that second place with a 622.5 kilo total. As Jared would need to kind of jump up to about 255. No, higher, 257 because of body weight to take that place from him. So we got 245 kilos now from William. Warren, you'd have to go up 2.5 more, FYI. Okay, cool. Just thought I'd... So...
Just put a number in there with Jared.
And we get 3 white lights there for William. Good lift. Weight jumps up to 260 now for Ian, our equipped lifter of the session. Ian's kind of, well, it might show in the score sheet as competing with everyone else. He's competing in his own class, essentially. So everyone else, you need, other than Tim, you need to move up 1 place.
The bar is loaded for Ian.
And here we go, 260 kilos. The 240 absolutely flew. So this should also be pretty comfortable for Ian. Got the wrist wraps on the deadlift. That was actually quite popular, say 4 or 5 years ago. Really brought to light by John Hack for a lot of the younger guys when he did it at Worlds. For a lot of people, it helps them grip the bar better. So something to try out as well if you were ever interested. Doesn't really have any negatives to it, to be honest. Good lift there from Ian. Very gentle put down, 3 white lights. Jumping up 270 kilos now for Wilson. So we'll give Wilson a 600 kilo total, which will be awesome to see. And kind of jump him up into that 5th place. Unfortunately, it will be quite a bit of a... No, actually, he'll be kind of in a good position to take 4th as well, maybe, depending on how Jack goes on his pull. Very nice there from Wilson. Man's definitely got some long arms, that's for sure. You can see the lockout position for Wilson is quite low on his thighs. Jumping up to 317.5 now for Tim. So now we can kind of start to see what the general totals are looking like for everyone.
We're just going to white kettle now with Southern Powerlifting. I'm sure you'll be able to hear the white president yelling at him.
So this is 317, 700 pounds here on the bar for Tim. Hit this before, so none of the numbers he's hitting today are PRs for him, but I'm sure he's just trying to get in a good competition and kind of secure that national title.
The bar is loaded.
Bar is loaded. Here we go.
17.5. Come on, Tim. Absolute mammoth deadlift.
Very nice there from Tim. Locks it out. Solid pull. 3 white lights. So now we're going into our 3rd attempt. We're going to have for sure some fights for positioning. First up will be 210 for James, but just going through some of these kind of position fights. We've got 4th and 5th place. Currently, Jack Tan and Wilson Liang. Prognosis is on 605. Jack would be winning on body weight, so I expect after Jack to pull, Wilson to kind of bump his number up 2.5 if he's going to try and go for that 4th place position. We've also, in theory, Jared could try and take 2nd off Jamie, or at least force Jamie to kind of pull something he doesn't want to pull. For that, Jared will need to go up quite a fair bit, so he'd have to go up to 245. Only 5 kilos more than he's put on it right now. And well, he has to go 247, sorry, because Jamie has the bodyweight advantage. Those are the ones to look out for. We'll point them out as we go. But 210 first up for James. Just looking to have a good end to his day and a 500 kilo total, which would be awesome for him. Very it nice there for James, ending on that 500 kilo total. Awesome to see. George coming out 235 here. This will end him. This is only a 2.5 up, but that second was very difficult. So this will end him on a 562.5 kilo total. No position changes, but just trying to get as much as he can on the day.
5 kilos, box nominated. Deadlift. Get this one.
What tip put in?
We put in 322.
The bar is loaded for George.
And here we go, 235 now for George. Unfortunate, yeah, that second was a bit too hard, and this was definitely too much weight. Probably just blew too much energy on the second. Good effort though, only really didn't really lose out on any kilos because he just couldn't get it. So got everything he could on the day. Bumping it up to 240 now for Jared. Is he going to leave this number on here? Looks like he is. So he's not going to be fighting for new position. He's just going to be kind of happy sitting in that third place. This is also, to some extent, probably to stop him getting overtaken by anyone.
Bar is loaded, 240 kilos for Jared. Get this one, he holds off Wilson and Jack. Doesn't give them a sniff.
This is to secure that third place. Ooh. Now, he needs to be careful with the knees there. Is he going to get ramped? No, 3 wides.
That's a good lift.
Honestly, he might have been in position to add some kilos on there and try and take it from Jamie, but that's a safe call. Can't blame a guy for kind of keeping his podium position instead of trying to fight for second.
252.5.
Going up to 252.5 for Jack. He dropped his third from 260, I believe it was initially at. This will not really, this won't change his position, but it will, well, it won't even give him the lead over anyone really. It kind of just holds him in that sixth position. And it stops William from being able to kind of hit the number he's put in as well and beat Jack on total, because Jack has a lighter body weight. So this is a smart call to just hold his position, especially being injured.
The bar is loaded. 252.5 kilos for Jack Dan. Go Jack.
Now Jack does need this in theory to secure out that sixth place. Let's
go, Jack. All the way.
He locks it out. This is still roughly 20 kilos under his top, but with the injury and everything else, I'm sure he's happy with that. Got everything he could on the day and kind of secures that position. We now got 252.5 for William as well. With Jack hitting that, this will mean will not be changing position with this pull unless he changes the weight real quick. I don't see anyone coming up to the platform, so it doesn't look like any weight changes are going on. So,
and the bar is loaded, 252.5 for William.
we got William, he's just looking to add to it.
No one's cared about any projects with it.
Yeah.
They've been talking about the whole time.
Yeah.
Not a single person's believing.
No one's jockeying, but we're just here like, they're gonna do it. Man just needs to run out with a bit more energy this time. He wasn't excited enough the first time coming out. Here we go.
Too excited. He's got the ammonia going. He's getting fired up. Let's help him out. 252. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. All yours. Let's go. Let's go.
Unfortunate there for Will. Bit too heavy. Placing stays the same, but good effort overall.
Alright. 255 being led
We
on
got
Jamie
255 now for Jamie Campbell.
Sitting in second place.
This is just to add kilos to his total. Currently in second. No one's going to be taking second off him unless Wilson goes for a 300 or so kilo pull. I mean, I'm not going to... I would love to see it, but probably not going to be happening, so it's just to add the kilos on top. This is probably actually closer to what Jamie was planning for his second, since he missed the opener on not locking his shoulders out. So we should be expecting this to move decently well. But it has been a long day for these lifters, with relatively quick turnarounds, which can also almost be more exhausting than having a slightly longer, more drawn out day. Definitely looking more like what his second would have been. He gets 2 to 1. Red on the front from not locking out fully. But you only need 2 whites for it, so looks good.
5 reds for Ian Chalk.
On to our last kind of 3 pulls of the morning session. We got 275 now for Ian. Ian's second still looked mighty comfortable, so this should be looking good as well.
It's the song, not the sound. Unless it's gone down.
Has it gone down?
It's as loud as it goes.
Just hit next song if you can. And we got 275 kilos now for Ian coming out.
Come on, Ian. Come on, Ian. Let's go. Come on, Ian.
Let's go.
Man gets the track of tracks for this one.
Come on.
Where's Seb McEwen when you need him? Ooh, has to fight for it, but he's looking happy about it. Puts it down nice and gentle. I wonder if the deadlift suit helps put it down gentle as well. But we get 3 white lights for Ian. Very strong. We got Wilson also doing 275. Small jump from his second, 270 to 275. Second looked easy, but in reality it's not really changing up his position, so it is also 5 reds on the bar, so you know, got to appreciate that.
Bars loaded for Wilson, 275 kilos. Come on, Wilson. Let's do it. Come on, man.
Let's give him a set up squat rack and podium after. And we'll do 2 minutes before medals. Let's go, Wilson.
Unfortunately there,
Next time, mate.
bit too heavy on the day.
Alright, final deadlift in the session, 322 is being loaded on.
We now got our final pull of the day. We got 322 kilos. This will be a New Zealand open record. Just checking the records real quick. This will be looking to take Brett Gibbs' 321.5 kilo record, which is a very long-standing record at this point, set in 2017. Yep.
Alright, this will take Brett Gibbs' New Zealand record.
So that's a 5-year standing record at this point.
Anytime you can beat something that Brett holds, you know it's a big lift. 322.
As a note, after this we'll be doing a 10-minute break, and then we'll be going into the kind of prize-giving podium. side of it.
You're not sure when you're ready to ring, you can't chip it.
But this is going to be a huge deadlift, taking the deadlift record off easily the most recognizable New Zealand powerlifter. And the bar is loaded, 322 kilos now for Tim Monagatti.
Let's get behind him. Taking breath, record, let's go. Let's do it, Tim.
Absolutely a monster pull here.
Come on, everyone, let's get behind him. Make some noise. Come on. Let's go, Tim. You got us. All the way. Come on, go.
Unfortunately, not quite there on the day. Solid effort there from Tim. I think still ends with a 775 kilo total. So not too shabby, I guess. But regardless, thank you all for tuning in. We're going to be doing 10-minute break before prize giving. And then we're going to have session 2 at 2 p.m. That is the under 93 and under 105s. And then we've got the under 84s and 84 plus women in the evening, I believe starting at 6 p.m. So got a lot of lifting still to go. Look forward to seeing you all around.